Hello everyone and welcome back to another video from Homemaker. Friends, in our today's video we will be talking about this beautiful plant known as African milkbush, also known as Euphorbia Grantii or Synadenium grantii. Now this is a beautiful evergreen flowering thornless semi-succulent which is native to Africa, and this plant is grown as an ornamental hedge or a screening plant, and because of its beautiful foliage this plant can also be grown as a house plant. Now before you consider keeping these plants indoors as house plants, you must be very mindful because these plants are very toxic because of the milky sap that they excrete when any part of this plant is cut, like the leaf or the stem. When you cut it, the milky sap comes out and it's highly toxic. It can cause severe skin irritation. Now you should keep these plants away from the reach of children and pets if they like to fiddle around with your plants. And even though the milky sap that I'm talking about is highly toxic, it is still used for medicinal purposes, like for the treatment of intestinal infections or stomach infections, constipation, poisoning, snake bites, gonorrhea, and many other ailments. So I will not suggest you to try the milky sap at home unless and until you know how much to use, what quantity to use and how to use it. So keep these plants away from the reach of children because it can be very dangerous and lethal. Now these plants can reach up to a height of 5 meters and they're very useful in xeriscaping. Now xeriscaping is a type of landscaping where little or no irrigation is required, like in arid regions like Africa or desert areas. These plants are grown for their and known for their beautiful foliage and landscaping. Now friends, as I mentioned earlier that these plants are very low maintenance and very easy to care for plants, let's talk about their care needs. Starting with the lighting conditions. Now African milkbush, they prefer full sun. They would love to be in bright direct light. Now if you're growing them outdoor, you can place them in any spot where it receives full sun. You can also grow them indoor and place them in a north or a south facing window which receives bright direct or indirect light. Next is the soil conditions. So succulents and semi-succulents, they're generally not very much fuzzy about their soil needs. A well-draining soil is what is must for these plants. So you can use a cacti soil or a succulent mix. I would suggest you to add a little bit more of the coarse sand or pumice or charcoal or perlite in your succulent soil mix to provide extra drainage, and make sure that the pot has got enough of drainage holes for the excess of water to seep through. Now when we are talking about water, let's talk about the watering needs. So as I mentioned that these are succulents. Succulents don't need a lot of water. Make sure that the soil dries out completely before you water them again. Check the soil before watering it. Excess of water can cause root rot, and that is what these plants don't like, excess of water. Do not overwater these plants. Even if you don't water for a long time, they will still survive, but you overwater them, they can die. Next is temperature and humidity. So because African milkbush, they are drought tolerant plants, they love dry and hot climates. And high temperature is not that much of a problem for them, but if you have planted them in areas where the winter season or the colder climates gets really frosty, then you would see the leaf loss or leaf discoloring or yellowing of the leaves in your plants. But as soon as the temperature changes, the temperature starts rising, the plants will regain their leaves and they'll regain their lost color. Next is fertilizing. So succulents and semi-succulents, they are not very heavy feeders. So even if you don't fertilize them, these plants would be just fine. I have never fertilized any of my succulents and they all are doing really fine. But if you still want to fertilize your succulents, you can use a very, very weak dilution of a complete liquid fertilizer and fertilize your plants during spring and summer season once monthly. Next is pruning. So if you have grown your African milkbush indoors, you can prune them to your own desired height and width. But if you have grown them outside as a screening hedge or an ornamental hedge, then I think 5 meter height or whatever height you need should be okay. You can prune them according to your own desired height. Next is propagation. So these plants are very easy to propagate like any other succulent. Just take a stem cutting, and then clean the milky sap that comes out of it. And if you want to go with the water propagation, you just place it in the jar of water and wait for the roots to come up. When the roots are well developed, then you transfer it into the soil. And if you want to go with the soil propagation, you take the cutting, clean the milky sap, leave it outside to dry out for the callus to form. And once the callus has formed, then you place it in the soil mix. You can use the soil, same succulent soil mix, or you can use a sandy soil for the propagation method as well. And you will see the new growth in your propagated stem cutting. So friends, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section and we will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you really liked it, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time with another exciting video. Till then, stay safe, happy gardening. Bye bye.